What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Real Ones Canes podcast. He is Brandon O'Doy. Follow him on X at Brandon_O'Doy. I am Brian London. Follow me on X at Miami Radio Beast. I'm also on the ever so popular Blue Sky as well, under the same handle. A lot of people are migrating over to Blue Sky, and I'm over there as well. You know, you got to be everywhere where the people are.
I'm over there as well.
Yeah. You gotta be where the people are. You gotta be where everyone's going.
I gotta follow you. I didn't follow you.
I didn't follow you either. I gotta find you. It's all this whole new world of social media. It's fun stuff. We gotta dig into a couple of things, Brandon. But we start with, Miami just had their bye week, and boy, did they need it. I think after the loss against Georgia Tech, certainly the defense needed to get some things together. But the offense wasn't terrible against Georgia Tech, but still the third and fourth down, which Miami was amazing at for the majority of the year, not good. And when you can't move the chains on a third or fourth down, it's going to hurt you, especially when you're not going to have the ball much because the other team just keeps running on you and running on you and running on you. So not being able to convert plus not having the ball equals a loss, which is what happened. But, they had the bye week, and Coach Cristobal really talked about them having to improve communication on defense and on offense, making sure that guys are running the right routes and, Cam is looking the right way where he's supposed to look on certain plays and getting things tight and together for this game against Wake Forest.
Yeah, I don't think the Canes are in any jeopardy of losing this game. I think more importantly, you've got to shake off this loss and restore confidence in the defense and, get back to the prolific nature of the offense. And really, it's crazy to say this, but get Cam Ward back into the Heisman conversation. Like, he's just one bad game, one loss. And it's like everybody's taking him and Miami completely for granted. And like, they're just like, it's over. Like,
yeah,
has a loss ever been this bad? Like, I don't even remember having losses that stung like this, because it's like, it's almost like everything that you thought you knew is being taken for granted. Luckily, the committee is not punishing Miami at all as bad as like even Canes fans and pretty much everybody else in college football. It seems crazy to me.
So Pat Forty from Sports Illustrated, been covering the sport forever, right? One of the most well-known journalists in college
Fun fact,
athletics.
I've actually been to Pat Forty's house.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Producer, so
yeah, there you go.
In Louisville, Kentucky. Great guy.
So Pat Forty just came out with his playoff prediction. He has Miami on the outside looking in. He has SMU in the playoff, which means
means he thinks SMU is going to beat Miami in the ACC championship.
Well, okay,
and they got to get there first. I mean, they almost lost to Boston College.
Yeah, so I think you're right, though. The committee has Miami right where they're supposed to be, but on the other hand, which is, if you missed it, they're third in the no, that was last week.
They're the third seed.
Yeah, the third seed. There we go. In the college football
because when
rankings.
BYU lost,
right? Correct.
They're no longer going to be the lowest ranked seed. Colorado, who's being projected to win the Big 12 now, would be the lowest ranked seed because they're somewhere in the 17-18 range.
Yeah. So that being said, the committee and the AP is I think is doing their due diligence, whereas the rest of the national media is not. And I continue to see people write Miami off, and I continue to see people not have Cam Ward in the Heisman conversation, which is just absolutely ridiculous. Kirk Herbstreit on that primetime game this past weekend put up 5 Heisman contenders, and Cam Ward wasn't on the list. How's that possible?
Right. Well, he's outperformed every Heisman candidate that's been a quarterback for the past 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, correct.
And I get Travis Hunter. Like, I actually wouldn't be upset if Travis Hunter and Colorado win the Big 12 championship. I think he's a Heisman. Now, Cam, everybody knows people hate Miami. There was no room for error. He had to be perfect, and he probably wasn't going to be, because this defense, when he needed help, and that'll be the story of this year, depending on how far these Canes go. The story will be this defense. That's going to be the thing we always remember from this year, unless something, drastically changes in these last however many games are going to be. You hope they make it at least. This team deserves to play for an ACC championship.
Yeah, of course.
I think the goal for this season should be to play for an ACC championship, win it, and then enjoy a bye, and then let the chips fall where they may, in that second round. Because listen, you ain't going to make the playoff. They're already letting you know. If you lose that championship game, you're done. And they're going to find a 3-loss SEC team to put above you. They're going to figure out how to make you out of this. And it's a situation where that would just sting so badly to Miami, who wants to claim to be back. And that's just the reality of the situation. There's not a lot of respect, Beast. And to some extent, you can't blame people. Offensively, Miami's been a juggernaut. Defensively, they've been really, really challenged at times, and they're just not turning the ball over, and the defense is not getting the pressure they need to get on the quarterback, and that back end is struggling with tackling and some other things. So it's like what Georgia Tech did, you just hate to see that, because you're going to see it again from a better team somewhere down the line. You just know it.
Yeah, listen, I agree with everything you said. It's just, to me, the Cam Ward, everyone's talking about Cam Ward needs to have a Heisman moment. Like, where have you been for the majority
University
of the season?
Of Florida.
Where he's
Virginia
made
Tech.
Yeah,
Cal. Just turn on the whole Cal game.
Exactly. There's been a million Heisman moments. Yeah, there's been a million Heisman
moments than anybody.
Right. Well, it's what have you done for me lately? He didn't have any in the Georgia Tech game. He didn't bring them back to win. And evidently that's counting against him, which I don't understand. It really, yeah, exactly.
He's outperformed every Heisman trophy except for maybe Bryce Young. He's better than Daniels was last year. Like, Daniels,
correct.
What did he do last year? He lost twice.
If you look at the stats, it's Cam Ward's far better.
Whatever. This can't be about the Heisman, because he ain't going to get it. They're going to give it to Travis. They're actually promoting him. And this is something that I think is a fair criticism. Miami's not pushing Cam as much as Colorado is.
Well, they've just started to pour it on with like some of the stuff that they've put out for Cam Ward. And the ACC, if you follow the ACC on social media, they're trying to do their thing too.
And then the thing is, you got Travis Hunter basically hitting the Heisman every time, which I don't, Travis is a good kid. Like, I'm not going to say anything. He's from West Palm Beach. Then he moved to Atlanta, where I'm from. Like, it's hard for me to not like the kid.
Right.
He's just like, you kind of see it going that way. And it's kind of like, unless they lose a bunch of games, which I don't see happening in that league, because they're going to win these next two games, the toughest of which is coming up at Kansas. Yeah. But back to what really matters. Communication. I don't understand enough about football to know how essential that is when you're just not setting the edge and not tackling, and you're not getting to the ball, and you're not like play recognizing. These guys ran 5 plays against Miami like a couple of weeks ago. Like, it wasn't that hard to figure out. And they told you what they were doing with the ball depending on what quarterback they had. And so that's kind of frustrating, but maybe I'm oversimplifying things. And I hope that everything that they're saying, you got to give these guys the benefit of the doubt. They won more games than they lost.
Yeah, no, listen. Here's where I take it back to. No matter what, again, if you asked me before the season and said, "Hey, you're in game 11 and you're 9-1, are you okay with that?"
Take it.
Of course, 1,000%.
Take it. But I think it's the way you got to 9-1. I think it's losing on the road. I think it's losing to a best player gone, best quarterback jammed up. It's how the loss happened.
Plus that team that you lost to last year.
And then the knee thing, like it all kind of just doesn't feel well. I wouldn't have wanted to lose to Duke. There's never a good time to take a loss, especially when you have a weaker schedule and you're not like, playing ranked teams and, you're almost done with it. It's
Well,
never a good time to take a loss, especially when you're thinking you're going to go undefeated. So,
well, I think the only time you could take a loss is very early in the year, like Notre Dame had a horrible loss to start the season, but they've worked
that
their way
Notre
back.
Dame loss is disqualifying. I have no idea how they're going to make the playoff
because they're Notre Dame.
The thing is, that's a disqualifying loss, and they're not in a league. And here's the crazy part, Beast. Like, I thought Northern Illinois would be good. They're not good.
No,
they're a middle of the road MAC team. So it just calls everything into question. Now, credit them; they got it. They righted the ship. It's like, wow. But maybe the same thing happens to Miami. Maybe they right the ship after that Georgia Tech loss.
Maybe. But I will say this:
Miami played close outside of Cal are playing pretty well. Virginia Tech's playing pretty well. Duke's playing pretty well. Duke almost beat SMU, which is why all this SMU talk to me. Duke basically was a blocked field goal away from beating SMU.
Correct.
Like all this SMU talk, like Rex Lashley does a great job offensively, but they got a great quarterback, great running backs. Most of their team is former Hurricanes.
Right.
But I mean, who are you beating that makes people be like, I'm not really sure. Like, what are you guys watching?
Well, let me ask you this question. Speaking of SMU, and then on the other side of the break, we'll get into this Wake Forest game. Here's the question I want to ask you that I heard asked the other day. People are wanting Brashad Smith back, which is fine. The young man's having a great year. Who are you replacing though?
Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
I've known Brashard Smith since he was 8 years old.
Yeah.
Okay. Used to be a track star. Guy's always been fast. Okay. I thought Shannon Dawson gave him a career last year when he integrated him into this offense as both a running back and a wide receiver.
Right. Up
to that point, he had not done anything to validate having a scholarship to the University of Miami. And those are facts.
Right.
As a 4-star guy. And I'm saying this as a guy that loves the kid. Then let's not make secret of Brashad hadn't always been a locker room guy.
Right.
Sometimes change is good. Sometimes new scenery, going to a guy that maybe recruited you, believed in you. Well, he didn't. Rhett wasn't only here for a year, but it's a scenario where he's familiar with the guy, seen the guy. It just seemed like new place, new home. Like, let's just be happy for the kid. There's no place for him on this roster. We've got home run hitters. You've got Jordan Lyle. You've got CJ. You've got people who can do what he does. Just give the kid his props. Like, he wouldn't get the opportunities to run the ball that he would get here. There's a guy named Cam Ward that is taking the snaps. Like, a lot of the runs are quick passes out to the boundary to Jacoby George and letting him shake people and into Xavier Restrepo. Like, you don't need a guy that needs touches to get to, there are weapons here. Like, it's okay to say, hey, Brashad, we appreciate the time you spent as a Cane. God bless you where you are, and move on. Because, I don't think it was good for him to be here. Like, he needed change.
Oh, look, you see this all around sports, right? You see it on the professional level, you see it at the college level, where someone goes to a different place, a change of scenery, a different locker room, a little bit of a different coaching staff, and all of a sudden, whatever clicks, and you see them start to, be the athlete that you thought they were going to be.
That just tells you how silly people can be. Like, if you're going to want a guy back from SMU, get Elijah Roberts. Give me the D tackle that's, sack mastering and causing havoc. That's the guy you want back. Like, that's the guy I can't believe that walked. He's from Columbus, for crying out loud. Like, that's the guy we want. Brashad, love you, Brashad, but you can stay in Dallas. Bring me Elijah Roberts.
It's true.
Bring me somebody who's going to get after this quarterback. Mesidor, what's up, man? You missed a whole season. You still injured. Like, where's the pressure? Where is the pressure?
Well, we need to talk about that. It's a good segue to what we have to talk about with Wake Forest. We will do that on the other side as we preview Miami's last home game. It is senior day, so make sure you get there. It'll be Miami and Wake Forest on Saturday at noon. Meanwhile, we will be back right after this. You're listening and watching the Real Ones Canes podcast. Welcome back to the Real Ones Canes podcast. He's Brandon O'Doy. Follow him on all the socials at Brandon_O'Doy. I'm Brian the Beast London. Follow me at Miami Radio Beast. Brandon, it's Miami hosting Wake Forest at Hard Rock. It is the last home game of the season, a nooner. We always hope it never becomes a sleepy nooner. And, Wake Forest they're not good. They're not good this year. But what they do bring...
Stanford, Louisville. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, what they do bring is kind of a little bit of a intuitive, different offense with the slow mesh, which requires you to have defensive linemen that can get through blocks, and also requires you to have good eye discipline on defense. And I don't think Miami's going to lose, but I'm a little worried about the defense in this game because, again, it's an offense that's a little bit quirky that you don't see every week, and it requires some very good discipline on defense to play this offense.
Yeah. 2 weeks to prepare. You got to believe that Shannon Dawson is hearing the national noise. He does not want to be the reason.
Lance Guidry.
Dawson, Lance Guidry.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to be the reason. And, I think you can't lose at home on senior day. So I don't want to spend a whole lot of time talking about this game. Not as familiar with Wake Forest. Dave Clawson, I don't know what's happened there. He had that place rolling about 3 years ago, and he's had a rough couple of seasons, this one included. I think he gets more time. Doesn't make a lot of sense to get rid of him because he's one of the few people there who's had success. But you wonder what's happened. I know one of the things is quarterback. You've gotta have a good guy at that position, especially at a place like Wake. And then you gotta have a few athletes that you can find to make some special plays. So, there's a talent deficit here. And Miami's got to take care of that and capitalize and hopefully use the week to get more on the same page. I think the execution's just got to be better on offense. If this is a team that literally should score pretty much every single time they have the ball, maybe exception here and there. They should be in the 85 percentile range as far as like scoring or at least hitting the field goals. And I would say one thing too, take in this game, let Andy Borregales score 3 points as much as possible.
Take the points.
He's a Groza semifinalist. This should be the year he would join his brother. They become the two most prolific kickers in University of Miami history. That would probably make him an All-American, which he would join his brother in the rafters. Exactly what I texted him about years ago when I told him to leave FIU and come to Miami because he was having a Groza-like season there. He actually played better the year before he won it at FIU, but he was at FIU.
Right.
And it didn't matter. So at the end of the day, or it wasn't as significant enough. I won't say it didn't matter. But the bottom line is this. Take the 3. Take points where you can get them. Punt the ball. You got a really good pointer. Joyce doesn't get enough credit. Punt the ball on 4th down. Make the sound, fundamental, textbook football plays. And I think, you limit turnovers on offense, which Cam, he got a lot of criticism. He's made some bad interceptions, but by and large, he's taking care of the football. That Sackett fumble at Georgia State, Tech was one of the rare exceptions. He's had some pretty bad picks across the middle and some no throws. Florida sticks out, but at the end of the day, I think you get this done, but you do it whatever way possible. 1 point's a win, 2 points a blowout. I told Mario Cristobal that after I forget one of the home games that was closer than it needed to be. So at the end of the day, you just have to win. And it's the Virginia Tech game. 1 point's a win, 2 points a blowout. It doesn't matter. Just get the job done and move on to Syracuse, the game that really it's going to come down to, and focus on going up there in the cold to the dome and punching your ticket to the ACC championship.
Yeah,
if you lose, these guys ain't going to let you in, and that you're pretty much, A lot. There's a lot at stake.
I will say this though, Wake Forest's defense, I've watched them a little bit, not good. So, especially their passing defense.
Well,
so,
and that's not good when you're facing a very healthy Cam Ward and a very healthy Xavier Restrepo playing his last game ever at Hard Rock. Cam Ward playing his last game ever
in college. Yeah,
you know, because I don't think even if they make the playoff, they're going to get a bye because they ain't going to make it if they lose. So yeah, this is it. You know, at Hard Rock, unless they play in the Orange Bowl. Is the Orange Bowl part of the state?
Yeah, it's the semifinals, one of the semifinals.
Okay, so maybe they can get back here if they, but this is probably it.
Right.
So you got to show out at Hard Rock, and everybody should come. If you say you're a Kings fan, buy a ticket to Wake Forest to see.
And the weather is going to be beautiful. It's going to be like 70 degrees.
Cam Ward have senior day. Everybody needs to be there. Bottom line, no excuses.
Yeah, listen. Don't even get me started. I know it's a noon game. But listen,
forget all that. No, wake up, showing up. These
wake
guys
up early.
Are 9-1. Show up. If you brag to people about your Canes and you're happy, you bet money. I'll cover your base. You bet money. You won money, man. Show up and buy a ticket and root for these kids. They've done a great job.
Hey, before we get out of here, let me ask you this question because we talk about this in the press box. I know you have an opinion about this, and we see it again in what some of these national writers are writing. We see it in the Heisman stuff. We see it in the way the playoff committee is. Whereas if you're SEC or Big Ten, everyone's going to worship you. If you're in the ACC, people are ready to dismiss you.
The funny thing is, I thought the reason we expanded to the playoff was to allow for some of the non-traditional, non-blue blood type teams to get into the playoff and everybody be okay with it. What seems to be happening is we're trying to make room for more of the blue bloods. And it's just crazy to me. South Carolina at 6-3 is being talked about as a playoff team. No.
Come on.
You cannot get in. Yeah, they're red hot. Congratulations. You should have beat Bama at home when you had the chance. Alabama, you lose a third time, you're out. You got some of these 2-loss teams. To be honest, the winner, the SEC guys should be the winners and losers of the participants in the SEC championship, and then the next highest rated person. That fourth guy, I want to see, because if Colorado beats a 1-loss BYU team, BYU's been great all year. Why punish them for losing, to Kansas, one time, in a very good Colorado team that probably never should have lost to Nebraska and lost to Kansas State barely. You know what I mean? Like, these are good programs. So it's like, you got to start saying, okay, whatever. And then listen, I'm going to find a way to get Army in there. If Army can beat Tulane.
Yeah, of course.
In the AAC. Army. We're talking about Army. This is what it's all about. These guys are undefeated. So you're going to tell me an undefeated Army team is not going to make the playoff?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
They should get an opportunity.
We'll never see a team like this again.
Right.
What are we doing? Indiana, if they lose this weekend and run the table in the Big Ten and don't make the playoff, because they'll have the tiebreaker messed up. Oregon's already in the Big Ten championship, so if they lose to Ohio State, they can't get in. You mean to tell me you're going to put in a 1-loss Indiana team out of this playoff? How?
No, this whole thing was built to take care of like the UCF situation where we're going to go undefeated and not get an opportunity. But it doesn't seem like that's what the case.
That's not what's happening.
Yeah, I don't
20 people.
And I don't
20 people.
And I don't
now
but
you
I
got Lane Kiffin talking about, I don't know if I want to make my championship game. Huh?
Oh, that is the new thing. I heard that one today, that now teams don't want to go to the SEC championship because it will hurt them.
Championship hurts me.
Yeah.
Huh? You guys fought for this. You guys got rid of divisions. Like, every year the goalposts move. I don't get it.
Just do like basketball, 64-team playoff. Let's go. We'll be playing until
it's
like
already
March.
Too much football.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I don't even want to get into it. Miami's got to win the next 2 games, got to win the ACC in order to get into this thing, or, it'll just be like a pretty good season. So spending a lot of money, got to get the job done.
Real quick on that note, spending money, recruiting is coming up, portals coming up, all that stuff. Any insight to how the Canes are doing in this area? Just a thumbs up, what do we got going
Big
on?
prize is DJ Pickett. Coach Mario likes his 5 stars. Can you grab him? His cousin's on the team. Can you pick him up? Time will tell. LSU looking real terrible. So that's helping you out. But Florida's become the taste du jour. I don't know. Maybe it's DJ Lagway. Maybe it's playing really well down the stretch.
I think it's DJ Lagway is
what
helping.
If he goes home to Texas A&M next year? Then what?
Well, then you
got to be more careful. You got to be more careful.
All right. On that note, we'll get to more of the offseason stuff in the offseason. Right now, we'll focus on Wake Forest and then Syracuse after that. Brandon, have a good trip.
Wish me warm thoughts. I'm going to stand outside to watch a football game in 45 degrees. I've never done this.
Brandon will be at Ohio State and Indiana, which is a great game. I wish I was there. I will be in the press box watching Miami and Wake Forest. And we will see you from the stadium on Saturday. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We will see you next time right here on Real Ones Canes Podcast. Peace.